Hey guys, I'm ditching GoPro and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not even going to consider the GoPro Hero 9. What I'm switching to coming up. Just get outside and do something awesome. Alright, first let's talk about the GoPro Hero 9. If you've been around action cameras for any time, GoPro's been the big name brand. It's what everybody uses, what everybody talks about. And GoPro, usually about every year, they come out with a new camera, it seems recently, and they have a bunch of crazy features. So I'm going to go through some of the rumored features of the GoPro Hero 9, and then I'm going to discuss why I'm not going to even consider getting that camera. So there's been a lot of speculation about the GoPro Hero 9 and what its features are going to be. There have been some leaks online, but yesterday GoPro actually put out a teaser video and they announced the release date for the GoPro Hero 9, and it's going to be September 16th. They also leaked some information about it and confirmed that it is going to have that front-facing screen, and not just the screen that it used to have that just displays like how many clips you've done or photos and some just like basic information on like a black and white type screen. But we're thinking that color screen so you can actually see yourself and see your framing if you're shooting like in, you know, vlog type mode. So they also confirmed that it is going to be capable of 5K, I say again, 5K video recording and a 20 megapixel sensor. So an assumption would be with that sensor, you got 5K 30 frames per second. I'm thinking that it's probably going to have like 4K 120 for that creamy slow-mo in 4K, and that's going to set it apart from a lot of these other cameras. So another thing is that with the new camera coming out, and I think the new features, it is rumored that it's going to cost more. So I think about like $439. Usually it's like right around like $380, $390 is usually what it goes for. Usually around Black Friday time in the US, they do come out with some specials. They've done some trade-in specials and different stuff like that. If you're looking to buy that camera, they are rumored to have a different battery. They're going to have a larger battery, which they're probably going to need it to be able to shoot that 5K and all those features. It's got to have more power to run it, and you've got to want to have like a decent runtime for the camera. GoPro is known for its hyper smooth, which is its in-camera stabilization. I'm going to go ahead and head into why I'm not going to even consider it. It's great. Like, one of the features that I feel GoPro has been missing is that front-facing screen. A lot of users want to use this camera for like a small compact vlogging rig. Everybody talks about vlogs, vlog this, vlog that. So a lot of people want to have that compact vlogging rig and be able to see their framing. Even though GoPro has a super wide field of view and you can crop in or crop around, especially with that 5K, you're going to be able to crop in, crop around and still have a very good quality image. But GoPro has not had that feature, and it just kind of astounds me. But they're finally confirming they're coming out with that. So that would really make me reconsider this camera if it wasn't for these other major problems that I've had in recent past with every GoPro that I've had. I'm going to talk about my problems with the GoPros. So these are going to be the reasons why I'm not even going to consider GoPro. So for me, as a kayak fisherman, I really like reliability. I used to be in the military, and being in the military, you understand how important reliability is for your gear because it can be life or death. Fortunately, whether my GoPro films me catching a 3-inch bass doesn't really, you know, affect my life, other than I'd like to catch bigger ones, but that's beside the point. I want to be able to rely on my cameras, and with these cameras I'd really like to be able to focus on fishing and doing my activities rather than messing with a camera. So this is a GoPro Hero 5 Black. I've got it in this little case here. It's got the external audio adapter. So before I had that shotgun mic on here, and this is the camera that I was using for that front shot of me. Now it's got that extra wide field of view, so I was never really too worried about my framing, but it's still nice to be able to see like what you're doing, which I'm not able to do with this camera. The other main thing, and the main reason why I really don't like this camera, and I'm very angry at it, you're a bad camera, bad, is because with this external audio adapter, I thought I had reached the holy grail. I thought that I was going to have a camera that was compact, an action camera that had great audio, because without that external audio, the audio on this thing is horrible. It sounds like you're talking to the camera with a diaper on your face. I just don't like it. So I got this external adapter, but the problem with this external adapter is I've recorded several times and for no reason the sound just goes out. I'm not sure if it's a reliability thing with the adapter. I tried 2 different shotgun mics on it, and I've never had a problem with my shotgun mics. Like, I've got the shotgun mic on that camera that I'm shooting with right now. Never had a problem with it. Never had it go out. But on this GoPro, it's gone out multiple times. And when you're shooting content out, there's no way for me to look at this and confirm that my audio levels are good, like as I'm shooting. So there's no way to tell. I tested it when I got out there, made sure it worked, and then halfway through, half my videos don't have sound, and that's just, when you're out all day shooting and you have no clue, and then you get home to edit your video and half of it has no sound, it's infuriating because you wasted all that time making a video and you can't even use the footage. So that GoPro Hero 5, that's why I don't like it. And honestly, whether it's the 8, the 7, or whatever, I really don't trust these external audio adapters. I don't. So that moves me on to the GoPro Hero 7. The GoPro Hero 7 Black is a great camera. I feel like the quality of the image and the quality of the sound without an external mic is actually pretty good. It's good enough for me. I mean, it might not be good enough for some audio buff that sits in like a booth somewhere. But for me, like, I feel like the audio is great. But my main issue with this camera is extreme temperature performance. When I say extreme temperature performance, what I mean is extremely hot weather and extremely cold weather. So in the heat of the summer, I like to fish. In the cold of the winter, when there's ice on plants and snowing and stuff, I still fish. And with this camera, it just does not like those conditions. So I'll start off with the heat, because that seems to be everybody's main issue with this camera and the 8, is the fact that when you have this camera out and the battery is in it, it overheats a lot. It overheats really fast, actually. If you're really out in the middle of the sun and it's hot, this sucker is DOA. So the solution to that is to open the bottom, which I've already done it, but you open the bottom, you remove the battery, close it up with the side door off, you plug in your USB-C cable, then you plug in a power bank and you power it externally. Now, with this option, it does not overheat. I've not had any issues with it overheating, but it's not waterproof. It's not really even water resistant because you got the side open. And my main gripe or complaint is the fact that when you turn the camera off, let's say that like I'm filming for a little while and then I take a break and go eat lunch or something, or go find a potty, something like that, and I turn the camera off, it like resets the date and it has no clue what date or time it is, and then all your footage gets all mixed up because it doesn't know dates and times, and it just is really frustrating. Because when I import all my stuff, I like it to be in chronological order, and when you mess up those date and time settings, it just jumbles it all up. So I'm going to be completely transparent. For the time being, I'm going to continue using this camera with this setup as my chesty rig just because I feel like with this option it's still really viable, especially going into the fall and winter. I'm not so concerned about the overheating, so I can put the battery back in it, which will allow it to keep those date and time settings. But in the summertime, it really becomes a bear to use this camera because of the overheating issues. So that's why I'm not even going to consider the GoPro Hero 9. I don't want to be a guinea pig and figure out, one, if it still has the overheating problems, and two, if it has any other crazy problems like almost every other launch that GoPro has had. Their cameras have issues and I don't want to deal with it. I chose the camera that I'm getting ready to show you because it's proven, it's been out for a little while, and it got some great support from its manufacturer and some great features. So that leads you to, Ryan, what did you choose? I chose the DJI Osmo action camera, and this is a great little camera. It's got a great sensor. It's very compact, but it solves some of those problems that I previously talked about with the GoPro. So let's talk about why I wouldn't have considered this camera before. Well, I'll tell you. This camera, when it came out, did not have looping. If you're wondering what looping is, especially for something like kayak fishing, it's really amazing. And the reason why is because there's a lot of time where you're just fishing and you don't want to save every single second of video while you're out fishing. So what it does is you can start the camera recording and record for, let's say you're fishing for 30 minutes. And then you finally catch a fish, you reel it in, you release it, you press stop on your camera. It's only going to record the previous 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you set it at, before you stop it. So you're saving all that SD card space, but you still don't risk losing a shot of a key fish catch or something like that. So a lot of times with my videos, I have the front facing camera that points at me, and I use that to talk to you guys, but I'll leave it on looping, and then let's say I want to talk about a lure, I might take a break and be like, oh, I'm using this crankbait, and it does the wiggle wobble, and then I'll hit the stop button, and I know that it stopped that video and it recorded the previous 5 minutes, because I usually keep it on the 5-minute setting, usually. With the looping feature, that really made this a viable option. And second for me is that key thing with the GoPro Hero 7 was the fact that it constantly overheated. And I'm going to give a shout out to Jay Wallen, and he does a lot of kayak fishing. He fishes out of a Hobie and is a great fisherman. He's won a lot of KBF events. Excellent fisherman. If you're around kayak fishing, you probably already know him. But he was the one who kind of turned me on to this camera because I did not know about the firmware updates. And I also asked him if he ever had any problems with this one overheating. And he said absolutely not. He said it's extremely reliable. He's not had any problems out of it. So it really led me to consider this camera, because the last thing you want when you're filming is for your camera to go, you would hear the 3 beeps of horror for me. And it would be like beep, beep, beep. And it would say, have the little temperature thing on there, too hot to record. And there's really nothing you can do until it cools down. You can't put a new battery in it. You can't do anything to it until it cools down. And the sad thing is like when you're out fishing on a kayak, there's really no place to put it. Like I even put it in like one of my hatches on my kayak and it still didn't cool down very fast. Alright, so let's get through some of the pluses and minuses of these cameras. So what I'm going to stick to is really just the positives for each, because if it's a plus for this one, it's probably a downside for the GoPro. So the first positive for the DJI Osmo is the price. You can find this, I found it on Amazon for like $225, I think was the price that I paid for just the camera. And that's a heck of a deal when you compare it to the GoPro. Especially when you compare it to that new GoPro Hero 9 price, basically almost half the price of that one. So you can buy 2 of these instead of just one of the GoPro Hero 9s and still have that front facing screen, which is going to say the next plus, because as of right now the GoPro Hero 9 is not out, so If you want that front facing screen and you don't want to wait, then this is a good option. So the third one is, the third positive for the DJI Osmo is going to be this lens cover here. And the reason why is because this lens cover is actually a screw-on lens cover, and you can actually replace it. So let's say you're going to make a big cast and you smack it with a crankbait and you scratch it up or something, you can just replace it. It also allows you to put ND filters if you're out in the really bright sun to keep your video quality like really crispy. So that's a cool thing with the DJI Osmo, which in the GoPro Hero 7, which is why I've kept mine, is it's replaceable, but in the 8 you cannot replace the lens cover. And I'm pretty sure, assumption, that in the 9 you're not going to be able to replace it either. The cool thing about DJI is they've really updated the firmware on this, and it makes it like super simple to use. I feel like the menu is very intuitive and it's not very difficult. Like, having had an action camera before, or even if you haven't, it's really easy to pick up and use straight out of the box. One thing that it did take me, I had to look up, was, let me turn this sucker on here, is if you're using the back screen and you want to use the front screen, there's actually a voice command for it. But if you want to do it without the voice command, you just take 2 fingers and you double tap there, and then that turns on that front screen. With that front view, you can see your framing. You can see if you got like a booger in your nose or something. It just really helps make sure you have the quality that you want from your videos. Another strength of this camera, the DJI Osmo, this might be a nitpicky thing, but you can see that, like, I've got an external mic on here with this cage. It's got this cool little audio adapter. This audio adapter is way smaller than the GoPros, and it just plugs in the side here. But another cool thing is, with this camera, you actually have a USB-C here, and then you have your SD card below it. So with the GoPro, when I want to take my video or my footage out, I had to take apart the entire camera out of the cage to get to the SD card. And with this camera, I just pull out that audio adapter, press in on my SD card, and I've got my SD card. So that's like a lot quicker. And yes, I do it a lot. Or if you're swapping out SD cards, let's say you fill one up during your day, it's much easier to swap it out than it is on the GoPro. Alright, so let's talk about the strengths of the GoPro. So GoPro, it's got the name. The one thing about GoPro is, man, the hyper smooth that GoPro has is super silky, buttery smooth. If you're looking for excellent image stabilization, it's hard to beat the GoPro. The rock steady in the DJI Osmo has gotten a lot better. I think it's pretty good for like what I do. I'm not out on a mountain bike like shooting with that thing and all that stuff, doing flips or anything, or snowboarding. The GoPro does have a ton more accessories, but the great thing about a lot of the GoPro accessories, as far as like the mounts and stuff, is that you can use them with the DJI Osmo also, because it uses that same kind of action camera mount. The GoPro does have an HDMI port on the side, which is something that the DJI Osmo lacks. For me, that's really not a big deal, because there's never been one time in my years of using a GoPro have I ever used an HDMI cable to plug it in. Now, if you want to use like a capture card, you could use like a capture card and HDMI cable to use this as a webcam, but I actually have software to be able to use my Canon camera as a webcam, and then I also have a regular 1080p webcam that I can use if I needed to live stream or something like that. The GoPro does have a really awesome settings for doing time lapses, so it's able to do longer time lapses, and it also can do stabilized time lapses. It's like GoPro calls it the time warp. So that's really cool for GoPro. But with all these things said, with the strengths of the GoPro versus the strengths of the DJI Osmo, it just really made sense for me because of 2 factors. Factor 1 is I don't want to have to worry about my camera overheating. And factor 2 is that I want to have that front-facing view, and bang for your buck, it's really hard to beat this camera. So if you're considering maybe changing cameras up, or you're considering getting your first action camera, I would definitely recommend this. I have done some testing with it. I actually gave it to my kids and let them run around with it, because what better way to test stabilization on a camera than to give a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old a camera and let them run around with it. Sounds great. And I was really impressed with how well the stabilization did on this camera. It looked really good. The sound was really good. Really no complaints. So I'm looking forward to bringing you guys this content with this new camera. I missed out on a lot of videos because my GoPros were overheating or the sound was bad. So I'm really looking forward to bringing you guys content with this. And as always, guys, don't forget to get outside, do something awesome. If you have a chance, please don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you guys watching my videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.